What car sold for $5 million 0 cents with no roof, no windshield, and was impossible to get unless you already owned a supercar? A car so extreme that it was never even legal in America when new? This is the Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren Stirling Moss, the rarest and wildest Mercedes ever built. Only 75 exist on Earth, and they're disappearing into secret collections forever. Imagine driving at 220 miles per hour with nothing between you and the air but a pair of goggles. No roof, no windshield, just you, a 650 horsepower engine, and the open road. This isn't a motorcycle. It's the Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren Stirling Moss, the most extreme car Mercedes has ever built. Created in 2009 as the final version of the SLR, the Stirling Moss Edition wasn't just another special model with fancy paint. It was a complete transformation. Mercedes and McLaren took the regular SLR, cut off the roof, removed the windshield, and created something that looks like it came from the future and the past at the same time. The car was named after Sir Stirling Moss, one of the greatest racing drivers in history. In 1955, Moss won the famous Mille Miglia race, a dangerous 1,000-mile race through Italy, driving a Mercedes 300 SLR race car. He set a record time that has never been broken. The SLR Stirling Moss was built to honor this achievement more than 50 years later. What makes this car so special? First, there's its extreme design. The body is made entirely of carbon fiber, the same super light, super strong material used in spaceships and Formula One cars. Without a roof or windshield, it looks like nothing else on the road. Two small clear plastic pieces, barely an inch tall, are the only wind protection. The doors swing up like wings, and when they're closed, the car looks like a sculpture. Inside, there's just enough room for two people. The cabin is wrapped in leather and carbon fiber, with special racing seats to hold you in place during high-speed turns. There's a cover you can put over the passenger side when driving alone to make the car more aerodynamic. Another cover can close up the whole car when it's parked, turning it into what looks like a spaceship. Under the long hood sits a monster, a hand-built 5.4-liter V8 engine with a supercharger. It makes 650 horsepower, enough to push the car from 0 to 60 mph in just 3.5 seconds and to a top speed of 220 mph. But numbers don't tell the whole story. Without a windshield, even 60 mph feels like 200. The engine is so loud that it becomes part of the experience, a thundering roar that seems to come from everywhere at once. Driving the Stirling Moss is unlike any other car. One reviewer who drove it in 2025 said it was the closest thing to a superbike on 4 wheels. Wind hits your face at all times. Small rocks and bugs become dangers. You must wear goggles, and a helmet is better. It's not a car for the weak or for showing off at low speeds. It's a pure driving machine meant for those who truly love the thrill of speed. When new, the Stirling Moss cost about $1,100,000 0 cents, more than twice the price of a regular SLR. But Mercedes wouldn't sell one to just anyone. You could only buy it if you already owned an SLR. Even with this restriction, all 75 cars sold out immediately. Today, these cars are worth between $4 million and $5 million, making them one of the best car investments of all time. The car was never officially sold in America when new, because it didn't meet safety rules. No car without a windshield could be sold here. Most examples ended up in Europe or the Middle East, in climate-controlled garages of the super wealthy. Many have barely been driven. Recently, one example with only 50 kilometers, about 30 miles, on it, came up for auction. What's amazing is how the car connects past and future. It honors the racing glory of the 1950s while using the most advanced technology of the 2000s. Its design inspired many later speedster supercars like the McLaren Elva and Ferrari Monza SP1 and SP2, but none have the same raw quality as the Stirling Moss. To understand why the SLR Stirling Moss is so special, we need to go back in time. The car isn't just a strange-looking Mercedes, it's a tribute to one of the greatest racing stories ever told. In 1955, a young British racing driver named Stirling Moss entered the Mille Miglia. This was a brutal 1,000-mile race on public roads through Italy. Drivers would zoom through towns and mountains at deadly speeds. Moss was driving a Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR, wearing the number 722. His start time was 7:22 a.m. With journalist Dennis Jenkinson as his navigator, Moss did the impossible. He completed the race in just 10 hours and 7 minutes, an average speed of nearly 100 mph, on winding, dangerous roads. This record still stands today because the race was banned 2 years later after a terrible crash killed many spectators. Moss's victory became legendary, one of the greatest driving performances of all time. Fast forward to 2009. Mercedes-Benz and McLaren had been building the SLR supercar for several years. They had already made a special version called the 722 edition to honor Moss's famous race number. But as their partnership was ending, they wanted to create one final, extreme version, something that would never be forgotten. The idea was simple but bold: build a modern car that captured the raw feeling of those old-time racers. No roof, no windshield, just pure speed and excitement. They would make it super limited, just 75 examples, and it would be the most exclusive Mercedes ever built. The design team, led by Korean designer Yoon-il Hun, who now works as a VP of design at Genesis, created something truly unique. They kept the long hood of the SLR but completely changed the rest of the car. 2 small wind deflectors replaced the windshield. Special humps behind the seats echoed racing cars from the 1950s. The side exhausts remained, keeping the SLR's signature flame-spitting sound. Building each car was a global effort. The engines were hand-built at AMG's factory in Germany, with each one made by a single engineer who signed their work. Then the engines were shipped to McLaren's high-tech factory in Woking, England, where the cars were assembled with incredible attention to detail. The results were amazing. By removing the roof and windshield, engineers cut about 440 pounds from the car's weight. This made it much faster and more agile than the regular SLR. They also tuned the engine for more power and improved the aerodynamics to keep the car stable at extremely high speeds. But there was a problem. The car was too extreme for normal roads in many countries. In the United States, it couldn't be registered because cars must have windshields to be street legal. In Europe, owners needed to wear proper eye protection to drive it legally. This wasn't a car for going to the grocery store. It was a car for people who owned many other cars and would only use this one for special occasion. Mercedes announced that the car would only be offered to existing SLR owners, creating instant demand, even with a price tag of over $1 million. In 2009 money, all 75 cars were sold before production even began. Production started in June 2009 and ended in December of that same year. Each car was slightly different, with owners able to choose special colors and interior details. What's incredible about the Stirling Moss is how it connects different eras of automotive history. It honors the glory days of 1950s motorsport, but uses carbon fiber and modern engineering. It's both old school and futuristic at the same time. Driving one feels like a time machine, a direct connection to the dangerous, thrilling days of racing when brave drivers like Stirling Moss risked everything for victory. Sir Stirling Moss himself, who died in 2020 at age 90, got to see and drive the car named after him. He never won a Formula One championship, but many experts consider him one of the greatest drivers who ever lived. The car ensures his name will live on, introducing new generations to his legendary skills. Today, the SLR Stirling Moss has become even more special. As cars become more computerized and regulated, we'll never see anything like it again. No major manufacturer would dare build a car without a windshield today. The few that have tried, like the McLaren Elva, ended up adding small windscreens to meet safety rules. When a Stirling Moss appears at auction, which happens rarely, it causes a sensation. In 2023, one sold for over $3 million, 0 cents. By 2025, prices were approaching $5 million, 0 cents. Many examples have barely been driven. Some show fewer than 100 miles on their odometers. They're treated more like art than transportation. The SLR Stirling Moss remains the most extreme road car Mercedes has ever built, a fitting tribute to one of racing's greatest heroes and a high watermark for automotive design. It reminds us that, sometimes, the most special machines are the ones that make absolutely no practical sense at all. The SLR McLaren Stirling Moss stands as a monument to what Mercedes and McLaren achieved together, the ultimate expression of speed, history, and exclusive luxury. Most of us will never even see one in person, let alone drive one. It's reserved for the lucky few. The ultimate collector's car from one of the world's greatest car makers.